let's continue from where we stopped the last time. Just give me a second as I share my screen. So, okay, right. So I'm sharing my screen now. Confirm if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Is it clear
But
now?
I don't know if you can. Yeah, if you can zoom in a bit.
Let me see. How about now? Can you
Yeah, it's
see?
okay, sir. Yes, it's okay, sir.
All right. So let's start from here. I want us to move from this very basic on how to go to Google Colab. It, I just typed Google Colab on my Google browser, and this was what we had, Google Colab. You just type Google Colab here. So once I click here, I want us to move from this basic so that no one is lost in the class. Once I click here, it opens to this, it comes here. From here, I go to new notebook, and this then the notebook is what is opening here. So for those who perhaps will be having challenges in getting to Google Colab or Make, or were confused the last time, this was where we are, and this is the Google Colab platform. So the last time I remember very well, I was trying to make us understand our ways through, and that's just what I will do in a few minutes before I start with what we have for today. So over here, if you see what is written, it's called Untitled 6 IPYNB. So if I want to rename this tab, I want to rename it, I'm going to rename it here. You can double click, triple click, and it highlights everything. So I rename it and call it whatever name I for. So that, as simple as that, I've renamed. If you come under files, there are different things here you can do. Rename, you can also rename from here. I spoke about all of this in the last class, and I said that when you are giving assignments or project work, you are going to download it in this format, and you will download it in this format and submit. Under edit, select cells, this select cells and everything. As you are using this platform, yeah, you will be getting to know most of the things here. You may most likely not know everything at the beginning, but as you use the platform, you get familiar with the environment. Insert, you can either insert a code cell or a text cell, as the case may be. Under runtime, I explained that this is used to run, or this is used to run the focus cell and things like that. So this is the environment. Over here, okay, that's taking time to do. And these are files. Other things are here, and as we go on, we'll continue using that. So back to what I have for today. Today we are going to start from Python syntax. We are already done with week 1, and we are already in week 2. And in our curriculum, one of the things we said is one of the things we are to teach in week 2 is Introduction to Python Basics. We're treating Python syntax. If you can hear me, I would like to see Python syntax in the text box. Just write Python syntax over here. Let me see Python syntax before I continue. Something like that. Python syntax. Good, good. Thank you. So now we'll continue. The first thing we are going to do is, what is the meaning of Python syntax? What is the meaning of Python syntax? Over here to the note I prepared for us. Python syntax, first of all, a syntax of a Python programming language is of rules that defines how a Python program will be written and interpreted by both the runtime system and by the human reader. Now, let me explain this thing as thus. It's just like each one of us in this class. For instance, we have different tribes, and we are from different tribes, different languages, as the case may be. So there is a particular language that if I speak with, like I'm a chief person, if I speak chief with my co-chief brother, you may not be able to understand because that language is peculiar to us. And so you too, if you speak your own language with your friend, I may also not be able to understand because what is peculiar to you. Now that's what Python syntax are. It simply means that there are set of rules that define how Python program is written. There are set of rules that are peculiar to Python. There are syntax, there are rules that tells us Python programs are written. I believe we are following. That's a just a short meaning of Python syntax. So one thing I would like us to understand in Python syntax is the subject keywords. In Python, there are keywords that are peculiar to Python. Just like in your tribe, as I was using as an example, there are those languages that if you speak, someone will not be able to understand. Python has keywords that are what are peculiar to it. Now, a keyword is a in Python are reserved words that have predefined meanings and purposes in the language. These keywords cannot be used as identifiers, that is variable names, function names, etc., because they are part of Python syntax and structure. They dictate how the code is interpreted and executed. Now, keywords in Python, they are reserved words, as I read rightly, and as you can see on your screen, they are reserved words. They have already been predefined by Python programming language, and so you can't use them as identifiers or as variable name, function names, as the case may be. As we go, we'll understand the full meaning of identifiers and variables as we move further. So those are what keywords are. Now, let me teach us something back to the. So in my previous tab, I wrote this note where I'm reading it out now to us to understand. Now, I want to teach us how you can write a note on Google Colab. So if you come to Google Colab, this is the interface. This is what you see. So you want to write a text, you come up here, you are seeing text, right? I believe you can see text. You just click on text, and then this dialog comes up. Like for instance, now I've copied what I was explaining there. Okay, let me copy the one on keywords, because I want to treat keywords now. I want to explain something on keywords. So let me copy the one on keywords. Back to here. So this is where I am now. You are not going to be using your mouse to select paste, because if you right click on your mouse to paste, these are the options you are going to have. So what do when you come here? You do Ctrl V and you paste it, and this is what we have. This is how you can write a text on Google Colab. Now, when I want this to I will click anywhere outside the box. Maybe I'll click up here, so this turns into this, and then this first column is here, is not useful. I want to delete it. What do? I come here, you see delete cell. If I click on it, it get deleted, but then I don't want to delete it. I want to move it down so that I can write a code on it. So if you see arrowhead up and you see arrowhead down. With this arrowhead down, I will move it down. So it comes down and we are having this here. Meanwhile, the right up goes up. I believe we are following. So now, these keywords, as I was explaining, they are reserved words in Python. They are already been predefined. You can't use them as identifiers. You can't use them as variables. You can't use them as function names. As we go, we understand the meaning of identifiers. We understand the meaning of variables. Now the question is, what are actually these what are these keywords that I use, that Python uses? How we get to know our keywords? We use a function. We use a function import. We're going to import keywords. So if I click import keyword, I will run it. This is the place to run it. Once I run it, this green tick, when I see this green tick, it means that my code was executed positively. My code was executed positively. Now I want to see the list of those keywords. I want to see the list of those keywords. Now, after this, I want to write another code. There are two ways you can do. You can either come here and click on code, and this new code dialog will open, or on this previous code that you wrote, I will come here and I'll click here code, so it's going to open. So the next question is, how do I get these keywords? To get this keyword, this is what you're going to do. You write a code keyword dot kw list. Kw list means keyword list, that is list the keywords. So let me run it. Now, as I have run it, these are the keywords in Python. These are the keywords that Python programming language uses. We have false, none, true, and, as, said, async, await, break, class, continue, def, and so on and so forth. The next thing we're going to consider is how many are these keywords? How many are these keywords? If I want to know the number of keywords, I will come here, I'll write a text, and I'll say length. I'll write a code length. Length is going to tell me about the number of keywords. Then I'll write in this bracket. This is open and close bracket. If you come up here, I want to copy. I want to know the length of this, so you can either copy this and I'll paste it here. Good. So there are 35 of them all. There are 35 of these keywords. How did I start? Firstly, you have to import keyword. That's the code to write. When you import your keyword, you want to see the list of keywords. So it's keyword.kw list. From there, I want to know the length of these keywords. The length of these keywords. Back to keyword again. I was explaining and I said that is somebody all right. I was explaining and I said that keywords are reserved words that they cannot be used as identifiers, and they can also not be used as variable names. Now, so the next question is, what exactly is a variable? What is a variable? Or let me start with identifiers. What is an identifier? That's the first question I'd like to answer. What is an identifier? Let me search on Chrome so that somebody will read, then I'll explain. Somebody will read and I'll explain. What is an identifier? All right. So who is there? Who is there? Can someone read for us? Anybody at all?
An
What?
identifier,
Yeah, go on.
an identifier, an identifier in Python is a name given to a programming element, such as a variable, function, class, module, or other object. It
Okay.
serves as a way to uniquely identify and refer to that element within the code. Should
Okay,
I
that's
continue?
enough. No, no, that's okay. Thank you for the reading. An identifier, as she rightly read, is a programming element such as a variable function. Okay, a name given to a programming element. Good. Now, I'd like us to understand that. Let me share this tab and let's read what I wrote. I said here that an identifier is a Python. In Python, is a name given to a variable, function, class, module, or other object. It serves as a way uniquely identify and refer to that object within the code. Identifiers must adhere to specific rules. Before I go to the rules, I would like us to understand that an identifier is is a name, right? It's a name given to a variable. Now, let me use a live scenario to explain this so that we'll understand. Let's look at it, for instance, like I have a car. For instance, I have a car, right? I have a car. So if I park my car among different cars, one of when and somebody comes, I want to find out my car. They are going to say, I'll point at the car, or someone will point at my car and say, that is Yimam's car, right? My name is Yimam. So that is Yimam's car. That's what they are going to say. Now, I'd like us to look at an identifier as the name given to that car, like that phrase, that is Yimam's car is an identifier. Now, when we go to variables, we'll understand better the differences or interconnection between an identifier and a variable. But let's understand that an identifier is just that name given to a variable. So that car now is giving, that phrase is trying to like describe that car, right? But then let's look at, come to these other things. Let's look at what a variable is. I want to explain the two in hand because the two try to go the same way, but they have a little difference. So I would like to explain them together before we go back again. A variable serves as a name, as a named storage location in the computer's memory used to hold data values. It is like a container with a label, where the label is the variable's name and the content of the container is the value it stores. Now, that car, right? That my car is okay. Okay. I said earlier that that is human's car is like an identifier. It's trying to identify the my car among many other cars. So let's say the name of the car is Toyota. The name of the car is Toyota. So Toyota is serving as a variable. Toyota is a subset of the fact that it's my car. After identifying it as my car, Toyota is the label, is the name of the car. Now, the car is going to be holding, let's consider this memory, uh, this holding of data values as in the fact that the car is going to be carrying me around. So I'm going to be like a data value that a car is carrying. I believe we are following. So it's a hierarchy from identifiers to variable to data values. If you are following, do a reaction so that I know I'm not making you confused, but you are following. Good. Thank you. Thank you. So that is okay. I can see somebody's hand up. Okay, man, you can speak. Mrs. Francis, are you raising your hand up? Or maybe it was a mistake.
No, I was reacting to the
Okay,
question if we're there.
okay. All right. So that is the difference between an identifier and a variable. And let me also buttress it more. Because here I wrote that it is like a container with a label, where the label is a variable's name and the content. Now, let's look at it. The container, right? Let's look at it. I say let's use example of a water tank or a water jar. A blue water jar, for instance. The blue water jar is this phrase, the blue water jar is identifying that jar among many other jars, right? Let's say there are 5 jars, but then that's the only blue one. So the phrase the blue water jar is going to identify that jar. Then maybe when we come on the jar, we'll see what are the names of these water companies again? We'll see, okay, let me just use BIPC. We'll see BIPC on as a name of or a label on the water jar, right? So that BIPC now is serving as a variable name, yet the identifier is a blue water jar. The variable name is BIPC. Now the content the container is carrying, which is what? The water. The water serves as the data of the data values that the the variable name is holding. I believe we are following. Thank you. So now back to, let me share this tab instead. Back to this place, we have explained what an identifier is. So let me write a code. Let me write a code to explain more about what I was talking about. To explain more what I was talking about. So let's say this is example for a variable. Let me write it up here. Aha, before I move, sorry, let me also explain this. I wrote this text, right? What is an identifier? And I wanted to edit it. I wanted to change it. I wanted to add more information to it. There are different ways I can do it. If you look at here, there's edit. I can click on edit here and it will get edited. Or I can come here and double click and it will provide an avenue for me to edit it. So example of an identifier. So an identifier, let's say score. Good. So score one is serving as an identifier. 76 here is serving as a data value. And then I also like you to understand that identifiers, all variables. Okay, I'm coming. Let me take on. All right. I said that identifiers cannot be what did I write it? Okay, I think I misplaced that.
Who is there?
But to explain what I was saying, this is an identifier. Score one is serving as an identifier, and then is serving 76 is the data value is who. I'd like you to understand that score one is also serving as a variable. It's serving as a variable. And how is it serving as a variable also? It's serving as a variable because it's holding this data or this data value 76. I would like you to understand that a variable can be an identifier. All variables can be identifiers, but not all identifiers can be variables. All variables can be identifiers, but not all identifiers can be variables. Back to my keywords. Remember when I was explaining keywords, I said that keywords are reserved words that in prefer meaning. Keywords cannot be used as identifiers or variable names. That's what I want us to understand. That they cannot be used as identifiers or variable names. Now let's practicalize it. In this example, I use score 1 as my identifier. So let's write another code. Among these keywords here. So let's take the very first one, which is false. If I write false, and I equate it to a string, let's say 67, 76, okay, let's do something else, 95, it's going to give me cannot assign to false. This is syntax error, cannot assign to false. This is telling us clearly that what a keyword, false is a keyword, and a keyword cannot be used as a variable name. That's what I'm trying to explain here, for us to see that it cannot be used as a variable name. To also portray that issue, let's take a look at another example. Let's use the second one, none. Let's use the second one, none. Let's write a code with it. None. No, this time around, I, I will give it to a string value. Um, Let me write my name. I believe we can all see that they are giving us the same type of error, syntax error, cannot assign to false, cannot assign to none. That simply explains what I was saying, that a keyword in Python cannot be used as what? As an identifier or a variable name or a function name. As we are going, we'll talk more on function names um, and the likes. So that is all about that. Back to variables again. Let me write more variables. Good. The next thing we're going to talk about under variables is rules of declaring a variable and an identifier. I have. So the same way in everybody's house, there are rules. Yes, even anywhere you go, in a school there are rules, in a church there are rules, and those rules, they try to govern an organization. They try to ensure that there are no extremes and everything is done orderly and accordingly. Even in Python programming language, we have rules for declaring a variable and identifiers. You can't just wake up and declare anything to be a variable or an identifier. So I like to engage one of us who is using their laptop. I don't know. I want you to share your screen with us. Who will do that for us? Just one person. Who will share, or should I choose someone? Miss Francis, I don't know if you are using your laptop. I'd like you to share your screen with us so that we'll do a little of practical. So you're not just listening, but everyone is participating. Rules of naming, of declaring a variable. That's where we are now.
Okay, I'm using my phone and system at the same time. So how do I share the screen from my phone
Okay, you're using your phone.
and my system? Yes.
Okay, if you want to share your screen, look at the down part of this Jitsi app. You see the first one is microphone, the second one is start camera, the third is share screen. That's where you
Okay.
can share. Yeah, that's where you can share your screen. Yeah. So if you're ready, let me know so that I stop sharing, because if I'm sharing, you won't be able to share. Are you ready?
Okay, but sir, if I'm sharing, sorry, is it going to reflect on my, like, you see what I'm doing in my system? Because I think it's only what I do in my phone you see. That's the challenge.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
using the phone for the class and the practical with my system.
Okay, okay, no problem. Let's move. We don't have much time, so I don't like us to waste more time on that. But then let's look at this. What are the rules for declaring variable pattern? Okay. Um, the start begin since you could not share your screen. Can you kindly read what's on the screen for us so that I'll explain them in flow? The rules for declaring variable in Python.
So
Hello?
I should read.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Please
Okay.
read. Yes.
When declaring variables in Python, the following rules should be adhered to. Variable names must begin with a letter A
Yes.
to Z, small letter
Mm,
or capital letter A to Z,
yes.
or an
And
underscore.
underscore.
It cannot start with a number.
Okay. Number. Okay. Pause.
The second one.
Pause. Pause. Okay. Let us practicalize that. They say that in declaring a variable, the first rule is that variable names must begin with a letter or an underscore. They cannot start with a number. They cannot start with a number. It's just like a name of a person. Um, at least now they are not supposed to start with numbers. So let's practicalize that and see. Let me share this tab instead. So they say they must start. The first rule say they must begin with a letter or an underscore. A letter or an underscore. So let's try one for a letter. Let's say here this Abigail is equals to mm, all right. I believe you can see what's on the screen, right? So this is This is Miss Abigail. Now I'm using your name. This is the name of a person. This is the name of Mrs. Abigail. This is the name of Miss Abigail. I'm using her name as a variable, and then we declare it. We declare this variable Abigail, and I said she has 3 children as a string. This is a string. Once it's in this open and close column, it's a string. So um yeah. So now this Miss Abigail, she has 3 children. What are we talking about? We're talking about the rules of naming them. It started with a capital letter and it gave us, it marked, it ticked, showing that our code was written properly. Another way we can write it is that we can write, even if I write it, sorry, that your name is small letter man. Even if I write it in small letter, it will give me, the same answer. It will give me, it will tick. Good. This is to tell us that this first rule, variable name must begin with a letter, either capital or small letter, or an underscore. Okay, let's do that for an underscore. Let's do that for an underscore. Let's do that for an underscore. For underscore, you come, that is an underscore. So, all right, Abigail again. Uh, married. Here you can see that. So, this is an example. Okay, I think somebody's raising their hand. So, you want to speak? Sir Moses?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are
I
you
can
guys
hear you.
hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and I want to pass an information to Mrs. Frances, Abigail, and Sonto. As time goes on, you guys should learn how to share your screen. You can practice it on spare time because it is more important for you guys to know how to share screen, okay? That is all I have to say.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
All right, so I'm trying to even connect with my laptop now so that it will be easy. Look
Okay.
there.
That would be nice. All right. So back to our class. So this is the first rule, and we're able to practice it. The first rule. The first rule says that the variable names must begin with a letter or an underscore. They cannot start with a number. Okay. These rules are quite much, but we try our best to touch as much as we can. The last one that said they cannot start with a number. Let's also try that and see. After this one, we'll move to the next rule. For instance, if I say one one, this is going to give us an error, invalid decimal literal. This means that this tells us clearly that it should not start with a number. It should not start with a number. That's just what I wanted us to see in that. Okay. So Somto, can you read the second rule for us? Now I will explain and we'll move. As we go back to our practice times, let's ensure to practice them. Chasonto, please can you read the second rule for us? This one.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Variable names can only contain alphanumeric characters in bracket A to Z, small letter A to Z, capital letter 0 to 9, and underscores. Spaces and special characters are not allowed.
Good. Spaces, thank you. Spaces and special characters are not allowed. Let us look at that for instance. Let's say Sonto, Sonto, um, Sonto, I'm trying to give an example of the fact that it should not contain a space. Now, this gave us invalid syntax because of this space. Let's cover it up and see. Now, this time around, it gave us a positive answer simply because initially there was a space here. Now, I've removed the space. When I remove the space, it's going to give us a positive answer. And remember, they said it can be what? Alphanumeric characters. That is, it have alpha and numerical values as the variable. This shows clearly that it's alphanumeric. I believe we are all following. This shows us clearly that it's alphanumeric. There is a name, then there is a number attached to it. That's to say that that rule has been obeyed. The next rule says that variable names are case sensitive. For example, my variable. Who is there? Okay, Miss Abigail, you want to speak? Okay, sorry, let me explain something before we move on. If you come to this place where the hand is and you want to maybe react, there is an arrow at the top of it. It's from that arrow that there are reactions like clapping, a smile, a heart, and stuff like that. But if you click this one, it means you are raising up your hand to say something. So anytime I see it, I'm expecting that someone want to say something. Someone want to say something. I believe we all understand. So let's go back again. I was explaining the third rule, say that variable names are case sensitive. For example, my variable, comma, my variable with my in small letter and v in small letter, and my variable with my capital letter M, V capital letter, and these would not be treated as distinct variables. Let me copy this so that we practice. Just do a little example with it. So if you come here, you paste variable is equals to let me just use that number. Okay, let's use my underscore. Remember, they said that, let me use this and explain the previous example again. They said there shouldn't be spaces. So in this case, if you want to write my variable, you can either write it my variable without this space, without this underscore, and it will tick. Or but if you want to separate my from the variable, you have to put an underscore. You have to put an underscore from that, and you are going to have this correct. This, so we have to be careful to obey those rules. I want us to see another one. Variable is equals to emphasis. Okay, so let us print. Let me copy this and print. It's still running. I want us to see something. Let's change this one to code again. Print this. So they are case sensitive. They are case sensitive. Okay, that rule has been satisfied. You say variable names as case sensitive. For example, these will be treated as distinct variables. Back to this. Now, for instance, if you are coding, as we are going further, we understand more. If you are coding, you declare this my variable to be 86, and now you have declared my variable again to be 98. These two variables are two distinct variables, in the sense that if you mistakenly type my variable in capital letter when you needed to type this, you are going to have a response based on this, and because of the response you have for this one, is going to affect the result you have. That's why they are what? Case sensitive. They are case sensitive. When coding or when writing your code, don't ensure to avoid mixing up the cases. Let me just write another thing. If I write score, for instance, if I write score and I define it to something, and I write score again in small letter, these two, they are two different variables. They can't be the same, because this is starting with capital letter S and this is starting with small letter s. So we have to be careful. They are very case sensitive. Then they say that avoid using reserved keywords in Python. I've spoken on this already. Reserved keywords in Python. That's the if, the else, why, the true, the false as variable name. Then why not mandatory? It's a common convention to use snake case. That's lower words separated by underscore for variable names to enhance readability. Lowercase words separated by underscore. I don't know whether I should explain this snake case now, but I intend on explaining it in Friday's class, not today's class. On that day, I will remember to come back to this to understand it more. It is best practice to choose descriptive and meaningful variable names that initiate the purpose or content of the variable. Yeah. Now, for instance, let's come back to this. If I'm writing something that has to do with number of children, like that. So I use Abigail as a variable name. Abigail has 3 children. Miss Abigail, I don't know whether I'm correct. I wrote Abigail
Yeah,
has 3.
yes,
Am
I
I
have three.
correct?
I was wondering how you knew. I have 3 children.
Wow, that's serious. The Holy Spirit is okay. I just guessed. I just
This is
guessed.
well.
Miss Abigail has 3 children. So if I'm talking about the number of children, that rule says that. Let me read it again. So it is best to choose descriptive and meaningful variable names that initiate the purpose or content of the variable. So if I'm talking about number of children, Miss Abigail, it would have been nice if I added a Mrs. here, so that it reflect what it's supposed to be. Ah, Now, did you notice what happened? In the first time when I put Mrs. and I put a dot, it gave me an error. These are some of the things that Python doesn't allow. This dot that I put here, except this dot has a special function. There are functions and methods that make you. So, but once I remove it, it gives me what I wanted. So, yeah. So back to that rule. And also, if I'm talking about the score, or let's say surname, somebody's somebody's surname, uh, and I declare it to be surname. Let's say Sunto. Now, this variable name is very meaningful because I'm trying to say the person's surname is Somto. So anytime we're talking about the rules, we have to be careful and sensitive using them like that. It helps relativity and stuff. Okay. It says Python does not require explicit declaration of variables before assignment. A variable is automatically created when a value is assigned to it. This is easy to understand. This one simply means that it doesn't require you to completely like I want to talk about surname, even if I don't say surname, once I just put sir, whatever I define to it, it's already aware that that is a variable and you move on. Variables can be reassigned to different data types during the program execution as Python is dynamically typed. Yes, that means I assign surname to this. Let me see. Let me see something. Let me see something. What I'm observing is true. Good. That means so let's print surname and see something. Okay. That means that rule is telling us that variables can be reassigned to different data types during the programming execution. Different data type. Initially, we defined surname, the variable surname to Somto. Now we have defined it to Yimam. Again, I can even change it again, but the last one is the one that will most likely take effect. So if I say surname, and I define it to 100, let's say $100. Doesn't allow special characters. So let's print this. Good. If you notice, the last time when I printed surname, it gave me Yimam as a name. Now, as I've printed it again, it gave me the value 100, which means you can redefine your variable name at any point in time. But it's the last definition that is going to be executed when you print your answer. So we spent quite a lot of time on these rules. Oh God, seriously. Okay, let us move to the next thing. I like to talk. Okay, we're moving to comment. What is a comment in Python? What are the types of comments? And then we'll explain that. Now, when you are writing your code, you're going to be using comment in your write-ups. Let me just write a text here. What is a comment? What is a comment? Okay. What is a comment? Okay, I've already written a note on this before so that we can flow quickly. So, who is having good night here? Okay, let's read and follow. Comment is used to explain codes in Python. We have two types of comment: the single line comment and the double line comment. So, comment is used to explain a code. Comment is used to explain a code in comment is used sorry comment is used to explain a code in Python. Now, it's not everybody that understand Python programming language. It's not everybody that understands some of the codes you are going to be writing. But with the help of a comment, we are able to explain. We are able to explain that, hey, this is what we wrote here. This is what is here, and when somebody picks it, even a layman is able to understand. So how do we attach comment? For instance, let's come back to this. If I want to comment, you use a hashtag. A hashtag is used to comment. So here, for instance, this comment, I'm going to write this. Somebody's hand is up. Okay, so let me explain this before we close up. Sir Moses, you want to say something? Sir Moses, do you want to speak? Okay, why is it going? I'll continue. So this is if you want to explain a comment or to write a comment.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I think we have spent a lot of time. I think we have to take some break and let's call it a day. On our next class on Friday, we'll continue. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So
So
I want to hear from Abigail.
So can I make
Okay.
a little announcement before we go? So
Okay, you can make an announcement.
okay, thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Somto. Thank you, Miss Francis. Thank you, Mrs. Abigail. Sorry, that was a mistake. For coming to today's class. The next class, I'm going to give a little test, just a little test on all that we have done so far. So I urge you to, I think that will be on Friday by 8 p.m. So let's go back and look at the things we have done, just a little test, and let's get ourselves familiar with Google Colab and how to write some of these texts, these codes that are written today, that we have done today. These are the basics that we have to learn. And just to let you know that we have already started doing the programming already. So these are the basics that we have to learn. And if you can get familiar with these little basics, it will help you to reduce the errors as you go further, because you already know the rules that if I put one before putting Francis here, I've written the wrong thing, and so I wouldn't do it again, and other rules as such. So that's just what I want us to know. As we go back, let's check and go through what we thought. On Friday, I will give us a little test. Thank you, sir. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, and that is all. And thank you, Instructor Silvio. Thank you for what you have said. And I believe Abigail, Mrs. Frances, and some to add what they said. So I would like you to unmute and speak.
Yes, go ahead. Hello, sir.
Okay, Mrs. Frances.
I'm here, sir.
Hello, Mrs. Frances.
Yes, sir, I'm here. I'm here. I'm with you.
Sunto. Hello, Sunto. Did you hear what I said? So, can you hear me?
Please, what did you say again? It's breaking actually.
I think I'm having network issues, so let's call it a day. Good night.
Good
All
night,
right, sir.
sir.
Good night, sir.
All right, good night,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.